actually.
I like it. I like it. It's a good segue to our live. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is a voice and the face of Dr. Tolulope Olabintan. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center in the amazing city of Mansfield, Texas, not too far from Dallas, where we help our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. I don't know if you can tell, but I am really, really excited today. I know I say that a lot, but for real this time, I'm really, really excited today to have on a repeat guest of ours, Dr. Nneka Unachukwu. And today we'll be talking about the topic, mapping your future, goal setting for 2024 made easy. Dr. Una, I am honored and thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me on. I feel like a celebrity. I've been here twice. So I feel like a VIP.
You are. you are. All right. For those of you who are watching live, please hashtag live. Those of you who are watching replay, hashtag replay. I'm going to actually introduce Dr. Una. I know typically I have the guests introduce themselves, but I want to do this a little different today. So, Dr. Nneka Unachukwu, also known as Dr. Una, she's a pediatrician, she's a serial entrepreneur, she's a speaker, she's a podcaster, and she's also a best-selling author. And she's also the founder of EntreMD, which is a company that's designed to help doctors like myself build profitable businesses so we can live life and practice medicine on our terms. And she does this through many platforms. She's also a big mentor of mine. So I am honored and delighted to have you here, Dr. Una. Woohoo! Yay!
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm honored to be here, really.
All right, Dr. Una. So this question is a little loaded. I don't know how you're going to answer it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why do you do what you do? I know you do a lot of things. And clearly this topic best suits you, but why do you do the things that you do?
So I do a lot of things for a lot of different sectors, right? Like, I mentor a lot of people. I work with doctors. I work with different groups of people. But a lot of the work I do now is with doctors, through EntreMD. And the reason behind that is, I saw a problem that needs to be solved, right? Like, so we went to medical school. We're very good at what we do. We got zero business education, and we live in an economic world. So we know how to do the thing, but we don't know how to function in an economic world. And there was just nothing there to solve that problem. And I felt like it's a calling of mine to say, hey, there's these million physicians. If I can help 10% of them learn how to build profitable businesses and they can live life and practice medicine on their terms, that's enough to shift the culture of medicine, right? Because we're in it, so we know. On the outside, it looks like, oh, the doctors have everything made and all of that stuff, but we're in it. We know the number of suicides that happen every year. We know the number of doctors who are burnt out. We know the number of doctors who walk away from medicine, and entrepreneurship can really fix all of these. And so I feel like it's my life assignment, it's my legacy to come in there and fix that. And that's the reason why I go at it with everything I have. But as far as in my life generally, I truly believe that every human is a treasure. Every human, there's treasure locked up in them, and I feel like a catalyst of sorts. My job is to find it, poke it, show them like this is who you can be, and then just let them take off. And so that reflects in everything I do because that's what I do. I see everybody. Sometimes people are like, I never believed in myself. I just believed in your belief in me. And I have enough belief for a lot of people because I know humans are treasures. We underestimate humans at our own risk because they're loaded. You never know what's there. So, yeah.
We underestimate humans at our own risk. Wow, that's powerful. And I have to say, I like what you do. I've been blessed because of what you do. I've seen you do it in multi-levels. So this is good. I'm glad that we get to share this evening with you, Doc. Now, we're talking goal setting. So I have some people who are like, yeah, man, I'm ready for 2023 to be done, or like, you know what, I want a fresh start. But let's talk goal setting. Why is that important, especially in the face of a new year? Why?
So this is the thing, right? I said that we underestimate humans at our own risk, right? But we underestimate ourselves as well at our own risk. And so 12 months, a whole year, is enough time for us to be radically different. Like we can come in one way January 1st and become like we'll be shocked at our own selves December 31st. But in order for that to happen, I want us to think about ourselves as like we're the car and there's a GPS.
Okay.
You have to put in the address. Like, you have to feed the address into the GPS. Like, this is where we're going. That's the beginning point of the journey. And so when we don't set goals, we can go around in circles. And so we're very active, but because there's no address, because we're not, focused on anything, we don't have anything to show for it. And so I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I can't wait for 2023 to be over. I'm ready for 2024. My question is that, so what happens? Like, there's nothing magical that happens on December 31st as we cross over to January 1st that makes anything change. But if we could decide this is where we want to go, develop a plan to get there and work on it, it's amazing what can happen. I'm 44 years old and I have lived multiple lives in one life. I have done so many things in one lifetime. And one of the biggest keys around that is defining where I want to go. It may seem crazy. People may say someone like you can't do something like that and all of that. But if I can define it, if I can look at it, if I can work at it harder enough, if I can put myself in the right environment, I can get there. Right. And so it all starts with goal setting. Like we should not want to go into a year with no direction, like at all.
So much untapped potential. You said that earlier. And so goal setting is one way to unwrap layers of ourselves. And it's challenging, but it's exciting at the same time. It makes life rich. Yes. So that's what I'm hearing. And I'm encouraged to do this. Now, I have someone who's watching who's probably like, yeah, that sounds very good and fine and dandy. But doesn't that sound like setting yourself up for failure when you have all these goals and that seem a little hard or seem a little too far-fetched or seem unattainable? So that leads to my question. What are some common pitfalls you want to say to that person to avoid when it comes to setting and pursuing goals that up-level you, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to start with is the understanding that even if you set goals and you don't hit them, you're better, right? Like, so I wrote a book, the EntreMD Method, and I set a goal, like I want to sell 1,000 copies in the first week. Now, the average nonfiction book does 250 copies the first year. So that was a crazy goal, right? But I was like, that's what I want to do. And so I set the goal, I created the plan, I executed on the plan to the best of my ability. Did I hit the 1,000 in the week? I did not. I did 870. 850. But guess what? 850 is a lot more than 20, is a lot more than 250, which is the average for the year. Yes, it's not 1,000, but cry me a river, right? And so even though I didn't hit the goal, I was so much better than if I didn't have a goal. You see what I mean? And so even if you don't hit it, you're better off trying and not hitting it than not trying to start with, right? And so we want to be okay with that, right? So that's the first thing. So we look at not hitting a goal differently. The question we ask is, did I give it my best shot? Did I set it? Did I give it my best shot? If I give it my best shot, I'm happy with the result. And we make up the deadlines anyway, right? So we can always move the deadline. So I didn't hit it in 7 days, but by the 12th day, we'd hit 1,000 copies. So, technically I hit my goal. So it's fine, right? Like, so that's the first thing. The other thing is that people set goals and then they walk away. And that's the problem, right? Like, there's a whole process that follows that. So some people set a goal. So let's say business. I want to hit 1 million in revenue. Great. And then in month, I don't know why I haven't hit 1 million in revenue. I don't seem to be on track on revenue. Nothing's working. I'm like, okay, so what are you doing? I mean, I just set a goal to hit 1 million. No, that's not the way this works. Okay. So if you think about back to our GPS analogy, right? When we put the address into the GPS, the next thing it does is it spits out a route. It says, this is the way you're going to get to this address. And it's the same thing we want to do, right? So I set the goal. Now I'm going to reverse engineer it. How could I make this happen? Okay, I want to hit 1 million. How would I do that? I'm going to need this number of clients. Okay, how would I get them? Well, I have to do this. Well, how would I do that? And that's why we have this supercomputer, our brain, right? Where we're mindstorming, brainstorming. How can we do this? So we can come up with a plan. So we have the address, we have the plan, then we can get in the car and start driving towards it, right? I'll talk about one more pitfall, and that is this pitfall around not evolving to become the kind of person who can accomplish that result, right? Because if the result is a stretch, it means you haven't done it before, you don't have experience with that, and the results you can create are the results you've created. And so if you want to create different results, you have to change. Like you, the person, not the goal is one thing, but you, the person. So I'll give you an example. For 2 or 3 years, I've had, strength training. After 40, you should start strength training. I had strength training on my my goals. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And I finally got to this point where I was like, okay, this is going to be the 3rd year it's been on my goal, my vision board, and I haven't done it. I'm like, what do I do? And then I had this idea, right? The reason why you're not doing it, you don't identify as a kind of person who goes to the gym. You don't identify as a kind of person who does strength training. You're just like those people. And as long as you think they're those people, you're not going to get it done. So there are 2 things I did. Number one, it meant that I needed a lot of accountability because I was not going to do it on my own. So I hired a personal trainer. And then the second thing I did is I started watching videos of people strength training every day with the intention of we the people who lift weights, who do deadlifts and all of those things. I started doing that. And the more I did it, the more I was like, we the people that strength train, right? And now I've consistently done it for 9 weeks, right? When I could have ended this year and it would have been another thing that I didn't accomplish, right? So these are some of the things. Like, setting the goal is not enough. Like, setting the goal is a powerful first step, but there's some other things that need to happen if we're going to make it a reality.
Yes. Set the goals and don't walk away from it. Start strategizing. I like it. And I love how you challenge us to use this big mastermind of a brain to come up with ideas on the how to and the route. I like that analogy. All right. Doc, next question is, can we talk about why it's important to break the larger goals into the smaller goals? Because I have someone who's here like, yes, I want to be a movie star, or I want to run a marathon. I'm nowhere close to it, and it sounds so elusive. So how do I set the goal? How do I set myself up for success, even if the goal is still far off? I don't know if I'm asking the question right, but can we talk about the larger to lower goals concept so people don't get confused? Like, I've been doing this for 10 years and I haven't hit my goal yet. What do I do?
Yeah, so I'm going to backtrack to goal setting a little first, and then I'll answer that. And
okay,
one of the things we talk about when we set goals is we want to set goals that are realistic. Now, realistic doesn't mean that you're not going to need to stretch to accomplish it. So I usually illustrate this using a rubber band. Like, you want your goals to be a stretch, right? Like, so you can stretch a rubber band, but you don't want to break the rubber band, right? Like, so for instance, if I say that, I want to be voted into some office, some local, whatever, right? That's a stretch. I've never been in politics. So that's a stretch, but I could pull it off, right? If I say in 2024, I'm going to be the president of the United States, that's a break. Like, that's not happening. Even as I'm writing it, I know that's never happening. I'm just writing it because they say do goal setting. That's it, right? And so you want to think in terms of what is that next goal? So for instance, if I want to do a marathon, I've never done a marathon. In fact, the 5Ks I've done have been walk runs. I haven't even been able to run a 5K. I may start off saying, okay, in 2024, I want to do 4 5Ks. Like, I want to do 1 a quarter, and I just want to keep improving on my personal time because I am not ready for a marathon. Do you see what I mean? And mentally, yeah. I'm not ready. Like, so, but if I can do 4 5Ks, I can improve my time. Then maybe I get to a place where the following year I'm like, I'm going to do a 10K. I'm going to do a half marathon. I'm going to do a full marathon. But you see how it's like, it's graded. Same way I can't say my goal is to go to medical school when I'm in middle school. Like, yes, that's my goal, but I'm going to need to go to high school. I'm going to need to get into medical school. Like, there are all these things that need to happen before. So the question is, what is the stretch goal before that big goal that we don't think we can hang on to? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what is that? And we can start from there first. And even within the goals that we have, we still break them down, right? Like, so we've worked together. So, I'm a big fan of 90-day goals, right? Like, so
Yeah.
even if we're like, oh, this is what we're going to do all year long, the problem with all year long is we think we have all year long, right? Like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, and in January, don't do anything. You're like, yeah, but I have all year, right? February, nothing. Yeah, but I have all year. And so it doesn't let you hang on to the goal and get traction and do what you need to do. And so I'm a big fan of having the year-long goal, but then breaking it down, like what aspect of it can I capture in the next 90 days? Because it's easier to stay in action, which is where the magic is, right? Like, no matter how many goals we set, we need to be doing something about it.
I like it. I like it. What is this version of that goal? I know you said that in class too. Like, what is this version of that big goal? What's the version of it for now that you can work on? And that segues into my next question: maintaining momentum. I mean, I see the last day of the year, first day of the year, the New Year resolutions. I'm going to do this and da da da. Usually by week 3, 4. So how do you stay in momentum the whole year through?
Okay, so let's look at that. So first of all, motivation is not required. And I think that's something that has robbed people so much because they think, oh, I have to be motivated to do this. And if you think about the things we've been consistent with, like going to work, taking care of our kids, all of those, we don't wait on motivation. We just do it, right? And so removing this whole concept of I do what I feel motivated to do does help a lot. Like, because my goals are important to me, this is what I do, right? Whether I'm motivated or not. So that's the first thing. The second thing is motivation helps, right? So what that means is, how can I create motivation on a daily basis? And so for me personally, I listen to podcasts every day. Why? I want to be motivated every day, right? Like, it's a habit that I have. I would listen to a faith building message every day. Why do I do that? Because I want to be motivated every day. So I don't wait on the motivation, but I create an atmosphere of motivation for myself, right? Like, so that I can stay in momentum. The third thing is your environment. Oh my goodness, like, we cannot rise above our environment. So if you're around people who don't believe in goal setting, they're not trying to be better, they're not going the extra mile, it is like going up Mount Everest, trying to do stuff in that environment, because your environment is like gravity, is pulling you down. Like, what do you think you're doing? We don't do things like that. And, when I talk to my teenage patients, this is what I tell them. If you are under a vent and it's like cold air, and you're like, I'm not going to get cold. I'm not moved by what other people do. I'm not going to get cold. I'm like, just move away from the vent. You know what I mean? Like, you are going to get cold. So sometimes people think their environment, when I say environment, I mean your relationships. They think their relationships will not affect them. It will affect you. It will affect you. It will affect the way you behave. It will affect the way you show up. It will affect how easy or difficult it is to do what you set out to do. And so you want to intentionally, we're adults, so we curate our relationships. We don't allow our relationships happen to us. We build our inner circle intentionally. And so you want to fill it with people who are on fire, people who are chasing down goals and all of that. There's no way 7 of you are all demotivated at the same time. Somebody's going to be motivated on the day you're not. And they're going to say, and so you're going like, oh, I didn't do anything in my business, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to be like, oh my goodness, I had like 7 sales calls and I closed $12,000 in business today. And you're going to go like, shoot, like, I better get up and do something, right? Like, you want to put yourself in the right environment. It makes a huge difference. And I think the final thing I'll say about that is the power of gratitude. Like, gratitude gets this rap, like, is this soft thing that people do to feel nice. But if you don't stop to celebrate the progress that you've made, the narrative running in your mind will constantly be, nothing is working, nothing is working, nothing is working. And there's nothing as demoralizing as that. So I'm not making the million, I'm not hitting the right direction, all that stuff. But you closed a new client. You showed up when you felt bad. You had somebody who referred somebody to you. For the first time, somebody heard your podcast and say, oh, I found out about you. Somebody left you a 5-star review. Like, yes, that's not a million, but these are all the things that are, so you celebrate that. You celebrate what is working so that you can go like, wow, like, what else could work, right? The energy of gratitude is motivation. really what it is. And so if we are people who are like, I'm not celebrating any milestones, I only celebrate when I hit the goal, then it'll be a really frustrating journey as you go about, chasing your goals. That is just too frustrating.
And when you get to that point, you realize it didn't quite hit the spot. Okay, right.
Yeah, what you realize is I should have enjoyed the
journey.
Because I'm getting here is anticlimactic. There's nothing like, for instance, the first time you see $1 million in your account is so anticlimactic because it's like, these are just a bunch of zeros on the computer. Right? But you could have enjoyed the journey all the way up there. You know what I'm saying? Many people at this point in the year, they're like, all the challenges I faced, like many of them, they ended up working out. Like if I had known, I would have enjoyed my year more. Like, I would have let it get to me that way because, so enjoying the journey is important because there is no arrival. We don't arrive. By the time you're getting close to hitting that goal, there are other goals, there are other things to accomplish, there are other things to do. So the journey is the destination. Like it's the same. We have to enjoy that. Yeah.
The journey is the destination. We have to enjoy them. I love it. I love it. I got to tell myself, let me write these things. So I'm in class, but I'm going to try to remember that over and over again, but that's powerful. Now I have someone who's watching who is like, yes, that's great. But I had my goals. I was working towards them and then life happened to it. So unforeseen challenges occurred, changes happen. And so any quick tips on how to adapt when life comes at you and interrupts your goal setting things?
Yeah. So first of all, I don't want to downplay any experience that anybody's had, right? Like, because, life is life and things happen. But I also want you to remember that this is the human experience. It happens to everybody. Life happens to everybody. The people you see who seem like they have it all together, the people you see who keep moving forward and all, they're moving against resistance. It's not that there's nothing. Like if they can take you behind the scenes, and this is one of the reasons I love reading autobiographies, right? Because you're reading, about this person, what they did, the life, all of that. And then you start reading their story and like, oh my goodness, right? And you're like, wow, like I thought I had problems. They got real problems. You know what I mean? It's the human experience. And so while I'm acknowledging, yes, this is painful, this is life and all that, I also want to let you know it is the human experience. If you see anybody at the top, they went through things like that to get there, right? And so that's the first thing. The second thing is really, like understanding that in this journey called life, you're going to have challenges. And at that time, you're going to need people, right? Like you don't have to do it by yourself. If there are people whose help you need to go through whatever challenge it is, ask for the help. Take the help. When people offer to help, receive the help. Like there's no award for doing it by yourself. Take the help. Ask for the help. Ask for the support. Some of it will be paid. Some of it will be unpaid. Some of it will be family. Some of it will be friends. Some of it will be team members, mentors, all of that. Like build your own village. People say, well, there's nobody to help me. Build your own village. And the best time to build your village is before life happens. But if you hadn't, that's okay. The next best time is now, right? But build a village and take the help. And I think the third thing is, I have this belief, and part of it is my faith, right? All of it is my faith. But I have this belief that at the end of the day, it all works. Like at the end of the day, the things that were disadvantages end up working for me. So with that understanding, I'm like, okay, I don't know how long this challenge will take, a month, 6 months, a year. I don't know how long it would take me to go through it, but I'm not here to end here. I'm going through this. And I'm so confident in it that while I'm going through the challenge, I document the challenge. I document the things I'm doing to come out of it, because I'm like, this is content. I'm going to teach people. When I get to the other side, I'm going to show them how to come out of stuff like this, because I know I'm not there to stay. I'm not there to stay, right? And so it's just some of the things we need to think about, because life happens to everybody, right? And sometimes it's something really bad. Sometimes it's as simple as having a baby, right? Like you set all these goals and out comes the baby, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be that complex. But then again, like with my I have 4 children, and with the first two, I had to do all the things. I'm the mom, blah blah blah. By the third and fourth, I was over all of that. By the fourth, I mean, I mentor a lot of people, right? I had them draw up a roster of who's going to stay with the baby each night. They made a whole roster, okay? And I'm like, okay, good night, people. If you need me, you know where to find me. I was up with that child like for 9 nights. After that, I was like, chop, chop. You guys take care of business, right? Because I'm like, there's no award for doing this thing by myself. Like, I'll take all the help I can get. So if I'm with these people, these are people, like lots of one-on-ones. Like these are my people, my core people. Like, you guys do your thing. This is how you take care of the baby. This is the milk. This is that. Good night. I slept like someone who had no kids with that 4th child. Slept. Right? But life happens. And yes, I'm acknowledging it, but also let's not make it a thing because it happens to everybody. So the best question to ask is, how could this be working for me? What if this situation, again, like if I want to be stronger, I go to the gym and I lift weights of my own free will. I'm lifting problems because this is heavy. It hurts. I'm sore. I'm doing it on my own. Why? I know it will make me better. What if the challenges we face in life are like those weights? They leave us better. If we have the right attitude, if they leave us better. Okay, so you have a team member and you hired somebody and they left. We can go like, oh, I suck at hiring and nothing's working out. Or we can say, what are the errors I made in hiring? This was a bad hire. How could I have spotted this? Now, what ends up happening after all of that is you're better at hiring. And after that, your team is better because you hire better people. So was it a problem? Yes. But did you turn it into a weight that made you better? Yes. Right? You had a relationship and the relationship went south. And you're like, okay, well, and it may not be your fault, but what was my contribution? Maybe I chose the wrong person. Maybe I didn't know how to use my words. Maybe I didn't know how to handle my anger and all of these things. I could go like, oh, woe is me, all this stuff. Or I can say, let me use this as a weight and make myself better. And now in the next relationship is so much better because I figured out how to do this. I figured out how to tame my tongue. I figured out conflict management. I figured out how to spot people that, nope, not a good fit for me. Right? So I can make it a way. What if every challenge could make me better? What if? And then we approach it differently and we just roll with it.
It's not as painful.
It's not as painful. When our perspective is different, it's not as painful. It is painful, just not as painful.
I like it. I like it. Wow. Man, I had all the questions. I was trying to draw out all the juice from me. Oh my goodness. We're going to have to do this again, but this has been so good. As a wrap up before we kind of close out, Dr. Una, any last words of encouragement for that person who's saying, good for you? You seem to have it all together. Didn't hear the part about the struggles. And it's like, I don't know, Doc, this whole goal. What would you say to encourage them even through this season as we start the new year soon?
Yeah. So I want to invite you to take a bet on yourself. There are so many examples of people who had all kinds of disadvantages and rose to the top. And I just want you to give, like, for instance, right? What do you have to lose is 12 months. What if you said, for the next 12 months, I'm going to bet on myself. I am going to set these goals. I am going to believe them. I am going to work towards them. I'm going to change my environment. I'm going to do this for 12 months. I'm not even going to get distracted by the results. This is my commitment. I'm going all in. I'm going to do this for 12 months. I will see where it lands. And if it doesn't land where I think it would, I'm going to come back on this live here. I'm going to say, Dr. Tolu and Dr. Una, both of you, lie, right? But give yourself that gift. And I'll give you an example. I told you about struggling to do the weight training for all this while, right? I knew that if I set a goal for weight loss, I wouldn't stay consistent with it because I love myself however I am, right? And so the commitment I made was I am going to go to the gym 4 days a week for 50 weeks. Whether the scale moves or not, whether I feel like I have muscles or not, whether I think it's working or not, it's a non negotiable. I'm just going to do this for 50 weeks. And after that, I'm going to come back and evaluate. Right. So I just started week 9. I have 41 to go. Right. But the scale doesn't look very different. I'm okay with it. I did develop a muscle though. It's somewhere there. Right.
I see. I spotted it, Doc. I saw it.
You saw it? I'm
I
like,
did.
that looks nice. But I'm not stopping. I've just decided I'm going all in. I'm doing this for 50 weeks. So if my weight is important to me and I would do that for 50 weeks, what if your life, your destiny, right? Like it's worth 50 weeks of you saying, I'm going to, because we've believed all kinds of stuff about us. Oh, it won't work for me. All that we believe it's make believe too, right? And so if we're going to make up something, we might as well make up something that works for us.
That is so true.
Right?
It's make believe anyway.
Make believe anyway, right? So why don't we make up something that we would love and say for the next 12 months, I'm going all in, which means I have that vision of what that looks like. I've set the goal, which means I show up and act like the kind of person who gets those results. And I think like that person. So if they don't think I'm no good, I'm no longer thinking that. I'm thinking I'm the kind of person who does that. Like if I want this kind of promotion, I want this kind of job. How does that person act at work? Look at them, model and paste, right? So I commit to the results for a year. I commit to show up like the kind of person who gets those results for a year. I choose to think like that kind of person for a year. Then after that, if it doesn't work, throw all of this away. Just say, they just run in their mouth. But I guarantee you, if you own it and you do that, in 90 days, you will not recognize you. You won't. You won't. Don't ever believe the lie that you're less than, you can't, all of those kind of things. It's not true. It is not true. There's treasure, there's gold on the inside of you. The same way I have muscles on the inside of me, but if I don't work out, you won't see them. There's so much on the inside of you, but if you don't do this process, nobody will see it. The whole world, nobody will see the gift that you are to your world. So take a bet on yourself. Give yourself 12 months. You've already been alive for decades. So we're not asking for the decades. Just give it a year. You give it a year, it doesn't work, throw it away. But I'm telling you, 90 days, you'll be going to Dr. Tola's office to hug her. Say, Dr. Tola, you will not believe what happened. That's what's going to happen. So bet on yourself. Bet on yourself.
Man, thank you so much. This was a lot of gems. I took notes as well. Bet on yourself. It's make believe, headed in the wrong direction, the alternative. So might as well. And who you become through the journey, I got to tell you, is so worth it. Thank you so much, Dr. Una. This has been good. I knew it was good. Woo-hoo! I'm glad this is recorded. Sorry, left so excited. Oh, and for those of you who are watching, please, I beg of you, share this with your family. Share this with your friends. Forward it to your frenemies, whatever. The world is waiting for us to emerge. All right. So please, let's take on the challenge. Doc, people are wondering, who the heck is this doctor? I like her. I want to have her come speak on my platform. I'm a doctor. I see she has a business school. What's up, Dr. Una? Where can people find you, please?
Okay. So if you are a physician and you're a physician who is committed and you're like, oh my goodness, 12 months, what could my life look like? There is a magical place called the EntreMD Business School. And there are all kinds of tiers for every level of business. Dr. Tola is dancing because she's an she's been there for 3 years? I don't know.
4, yeah.
But, I have a team who would be happy to meet with you and talk to you about it and help you see if this is your best next step. So entremd.com/call. And the team will get on a call with you and work that out. We do not do hard sales. We're just like, is this a great fit? If it's a great fit, this is how it could work for you. And you get to make your decision. So entremd.com/call. And then if you're not a physician, my website is entremd.com. I have a podcast there, especially if you have any like personal growth, business type of things. I talk primarily to physicians, but it's a lot of gems there. So it's called the EntreMD Podcast. And you can go subscribe and just start binging on those kind of things and just open yourself up to a whole new world of possibilities. But again, just bet on yourself and put yourself in the right environment. You will shock you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Estimate you at your own risk. You will shock you.
Yo, how you say that's the good one? You would shock you. Shoot. That was good. You would yeah, I'm shocked you shock him. Okay. So this is good. Dr. Una, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. And yeah, my heart is full. Thank you. This was beautiful. This was beautiful. We're gonna do this again. So you're live. So we're gonna have you come back again next year. Okay, she gets thumbs up live. Okay, so we're good. And I've put all the things, her podcast, so you see at the bottom of the screen, and also in the comment section for those of you who are going to watch this on replay, hashtag live. I forgot to say that, but you got the drift. Okay, thank you all for watching. Those of you who joined live, those of you who watched in replay, I see you. Let's see. Dr. Walker was here. She says hi. Dr. Una, we have quite a few guests. I just can't see them right now for whatever reason. But thank you all for watching. And on that note, if you or anyone you know is looking for a thorough, a compassionate and caring family physician in the Mansfield, Texas area who will have conversations like this to help you live long and well, I am she. Thank you all for watching. Bye. This was good.